We're going to look at, today we're going to look at annuities. We're going to look at how to calculate the annuity for the present value, meaning you can also calculate how long, meaning the end, the period, the term. You can calculate the interest if they ask you, but when you are given the present value of an annuity. We're going to look at also how to calculate annuities for when we have the future value of an annuity. And then the last 30 minutes of the session, we're going to work through exercises as much as possible. If we don't complete all the exercises, remember we can always discuss them on a WhatsApp group if you still want me to give you feedback on those exercises. Okay, we're going to look at the present value of an annuity. By the end of this 30 minutes, you should be able to do calculations on the present value of an annuity. So an annuity, in general, is just a sequence of payments that you make at an equal interval. For example, if you take up a savings, you go to the bank and you say, I want to open up a savings account and save money, and I want to contribute on a monthly basis 100 Rand. So that then at the end of 5 years, I can have my money. And that is what the annuity is all about. When you know that this is how much you're going to be paying on a regular basis at a regular interval, and the interval doesn't have to change. In your module, you have to learn how to do that. So a payment interval will be between the two consecutive or the two successive payments that you are making. So if you say you're going to make the payments quarterly, therefore it means you're going to be paying every quarter that amount. The term will be the period for how long you're saving or how long you need to repay back. For example, as well, because an annuity is payment, so it means if you borrow money, you have to pay it back. And we also call those annuities because you have to pay them back at a regular interval as well. So for how long are you going to settle that amount or pay back that amount? Part of, or it is included in how you calculate your annuities as well. With annuities, like I said in the intro, you should be able to calculate the future value of an annuity, which means it's all the sum of the money that you would have paid up, how much they would have accumulated at the end of the period, at the end of the term. And that will also include interest within them. The present value of an annuity will be only the amount or the sum of the payments that you would have paid at a discounted, and it always at the beginning, because it's discounted, it does not also include interest, because at the beginning you haven't even paid anything. So for example, the present value at the beginning will mostly be for if you are taking up a loan. So when you take up a loan, they pay you. They give you the present value. You start with the present value. For anything that is a loan, you will have a present value because that is the beginning. But the future value of that loan, you can also calculate it based on the payments that you're going to have to pay back. So, but the present value will always refer to the loan amount at that moment. Or if you're going to save money at that moment, today, then it becomes a present value for today. But then for annuities, your present value will be for loans, and your future value will be the accumulated amount at the end. Usually it's like for your savings, your investments, and so forth. Okay, so remember when we did the compound interest, we said there are compounding periods. We also going to learn to use the compounding periods because with annuity, we also need to remember that interest is divided by the compounding period and the term is multiplied by the compounding period. And you always need to know how much or what are the compounding periods. If we refer to a day, remember, regardless of a leap year, we always use the 365. A week or weekly will be 52. Biannually will be 2, quarterly will be 4, monthly will be 12, and annually will be 1. You always need to remember those so that you use the right numbers to divide and multiply your term and your interest. So to calculate the present value of an annuity, which is the first part of the session that we need to do, we use this formula. P is equals to R, where R represents our equal payments. So R multiplied by everything in the bracket, which we call the accumulation factor, which is 1 plus I, or I is our interest, 1 plus our interest to the power N is our term, is 1 plus I, or interest to the power N of the term, minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power N. And that is the formula. If you are calculating things manually, you will use that formula to calculate. So let's say if they ask you how long you will have to pay back a 1,500 if you took a loan of 6,000 and you pay, your payment is 1,500, compounded quarterly at the rate of 8%. How long? Which means they're asking you to calculate N, make N the subject of the formula. Therefore, it means you need to know, if you're going to do this manually, you need to know how to make N the subject of the formula by using the logs and solve for N. If they ask you to calculate the payment, if they give you the period or the term, they give you the interest and they give you the present value. Therefore, it means you need to calculate R. You make R the subject of the formula, then it means you divide P by the accumulation factor, which is everything that is in the bracket. And that's how you're going to manipulate that equation to solve. If you have a financial calculator, remember our first line of the function of the financial calculator, those will be your functions that you use. The same function we used when we did the compound, we will be using the same. And now we've added one more button, which is PMT. And probably maybe at the later stage, I can show you on the calculator how it's calculated. But we will use the steps to calculate the annuities. So let's look at an example. Let's say I want to calculate an annuity. Calculate the present value of 1,600 quarterly payments for 5 years at an interest rate of 20% per annum compounded quarterly. Therefore, what did they give me? They gave me my payment, which is my R, if I'm doing this manually, and I know that my formula will be P is equals to R times 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divide by 1 times, I times 1 plus I to the power N. I must also remember my I should divide by the compounding period, and my N I must multiply by the compounding period. So I need to change this to a presentation because I cannot type on it. Sorry about that. And so what are we given? We are given R, which is our payment. We are given I, which is our interest, and we are told our N is 5 years and our compounding periods, which are 4. Compounding periods is quarterly, which is equals to 4. I think my pen doesn't like to write 4, which is 4. So if I know that, then I can substitute into the formula. And when I substitute into the formula, my payment R is 1,600 times the accumulation factor of 1 plus my I, which is 20%, is 0.20 divided by my compounding period to the power 5 multiplied by the compounding periods of 4 minus 1 divided by 0.24 divided by 4 times 1 plus 0.24 divided by 4. It's always advisable to do all this outside. So you will say your I is equals to 0.24 divided by 4 already outside, and then substitute the values as you see them. And it should look as clean as that. So for now, I just substituted everything into one formula, and then I solved all my my 0.20 divided by 4, which gives me 0.05. And I also said 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. And I solved the whole equation, multiplied by 1.6. And I find the answer to be 19,939.35 when I solve the whole equation. And that is when we use manual calculations. When we use financial calculation steps, second function CA, second function PNY 4, which it means, yeah, I'm clearing my calculator from any stored values, and then I put my compounding periods. And then I turn on and off my calculator. Once I'm done, then I'm ready to store the information that I am given. Remember now, go back to what I'm given. I'm given my PMT, which is my payment. I'm given my N. I am given my INY, which is my interest. I'm also given my compounding periods, which are 4, and that's what I've entered there in the beginning. And I'm asked to calculate the present value, which is PB. So on and off, therefore it means I have my payment. Remember, when you have a payment, or you have a present value, or you have a future value, the first thing you do is to press first plus or minus. So I do plus or minus, the payment of 1,600 is PMT. And then I also do 5, which is my 5 years. I enter my periods. So my period will be 5, multiplying it with the compounding periods. That is why we do second function N, which will get times P/Y, which is second function N, and then you press N again. So this is the same as you doing second function N. You will see that on top of N, there is times PY, and that is what we are pressing. And you press N again, and you put in your interest, which is 20. INY, you press the INY button, and you press comp PV, and the answer you will get will be 19,939. And that is how we the present value of an annuity, whether you use the calculator or you use the formula. Remember, when you are now practicing for the exam, always write the steps first, so that then you understand what you're going to be pressing on your calculator when you do that. The same way as with those who are using the formula, always write the formulas and do your formulas step by step. Don't try and answer them in one go, unless if you have a Casio calculator, which has the fraction component. Then you can use that to answer some of the questions. And with that said, this is your exercise. What is the present value of the annuity of 1,500 at the end of each 6 months for 2 years if the money is worth 8% interest, compounded semi-half yearly, which is the same as 6 months? So what are we want to calculate? We want to calculate our present value, which is P or PV. That's what we want to calculate. What are we given? We are given R, or we are given what we call PMT if we are using a financial calculator. And you are also given N, which is also N if you are using a financial calculator. And you are also given I, which is also I and Y for those who are using calculator, which is our interest. And we are told that this is compounded semi-annually, which means biannually, or 6 months. It's the first 6 months and the second 6 months, which makes it 2. Our compounding period is 2. Those who are calculating manually, you need to use the present value of an annuity, which is 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power N, and solve for P. And those who are doing manual calculations, you do second function, CA, you clear your calculator from any stored values. Second function, P/Y, and you put in what your compounding periods are, and you press P and T, and you go on and off your calculator. Then you go plus or minus, and then you put in the value of your payment that they give you, and you press P and T, and then you go and put in there, let's put in the interest first, and then you will do your value of your interest as you see it, it's 8%, and then you press I and Y, and then you do your value of your term, which is 2, and you press second function, and you press N and N again, and then you comp, and you say comp PV, and the answer you will get will give you your solution. And that is your exercise to do. And when you have your answers, as soon as I see all the options coming through, then I will know that the majority of you have done the calculation. And then we can come back and do feedback. So that is your exercise to do. Remember, I expect to see options or answers on the chat. You guys are doing the exercise. So somebody must start posting some things there. Because that's the only way I will know if you guys know what you are doing. Okay, I see 4 people have already posted. How far are the rest of you guys? Are you winning? Do you need help? Talk to me. Those who are calculating manually, are you winning? Are you getting the right answers? Are you getting somewhere? Talk to me. Because the thing is, I won't be able to see what you have done. And I won't know if you know what you are doing is right or not, unless you talk to me.
Hi, Lizzie.
Hi.
I am using the manual way. Ne?
Yes.
I am stuck by the final answer. I managed to get the rest, but it's the final answer I couldn't get to.
Okay,
so
what is your final answer that you are getting?
I'm not getting a final answer.
You're not getting to the final answer? When you press equal at the end, you're not getting any number, like rough number.
After the formula, ne, I have my principal by P equals 1.5.
Okay, let's substitute and see if you have done it right. Let's help also those who are doing manually, because it might be that they are also struggling. Okay, let me change my color. I'm gonna use blue. Okay, so what was the value of R?
The value of R is 1,500.
1,500. Before you substitute the value of I want you to do it outside of the equation, so that then it doesn't create so much clutter in your workings. So let's do that, and then we'll come back to the calculation. So let's do I. We know what is your I. You need to divide by the compounding periods. So it should be.
I have a 0.08 over 2.
And that is?
My 8%. I'm compounded 6 months.
Yes. And
I'm not sure if I'm correct.
Yes, you are correct. It's 0.08 divided by 2. What is 0.08 divided by 2?
It's 0.04.
Then you get 0.04. And let's do the same with N, so that then we have one number that we substitute into the formula. So your N, what did you get?
I have a 2.
N is 2, but you need to multiply that with the compounding periods. So it should be 2 multiplied by the compounding periods of 2. because our
0.08.
No, your period. It's 2 years. You need to multiply it with the compounding period, which is 2. So it will be 2 multiplied by 2, which will be 4. Then we can use this to substitute into the formula. When we go into the formula, it will be 1 plus our I, we use 0.04 to the power 4. And minus everything, minus 1 divided by 0.04. 0.04 times 1 plus 0.04 to the power 4. And close bracket. Did you get it? Did you get the same as what I have?
I think my mistake was on I did not have the 2 times 2. I only had the 2. I didn't have the 4.
Always have to multiply with the compounding period.
Okay.
Therefore, because you need to also do it step by step, I will also do it step by step. So it will be 1 plus 0.04, which is equals to 1.04.
0.04.
So if you add that, it will be 1.04, and I'm going to run out of space. So 1.04 to the power 4 minus 1. Divide everything by 0.04 times 1.04 to the power 4, close bracket. Then you go 1,500. Since I'm going to run out of space, I'm going to do the top part together. So I was saying 1.04 was the answer I got. And then I'm going to do the second function. And now look for that function that looks like a y to the power x, because that is the button that will help me, is the function that will help me to take it to the power of a 4. So you do second function and you look on your calculator. So some calculator has it as that, some calculator has it y to the power x. You use x4, you raise it to the power of 4, and the answer you will get will be 1.1986. 1 from that number, so that I have done the top part, which then it means I have 0.16986. My calculator is on 6 decimal places, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Divide by, and I'm also going to do the same with my bottom part. We'll say 1.04. I will start with the bracket with power because I need to do the second function. Raise it to the power of 4, and I'm going to multiply that with 0.04, and that gives me 0.04679. Okay. I need to do what is inside the bracket, which then is 0.16986 divided by 0.04679 equals, and I get 3.63. So that will give me 15,500 times 3.63026, and I'm going to multiply that, and the answer you will have to get will be 5 544, and my answer is way too high because of my decimals anyway. And this will happen as well in the exam. You will get things like this because you are calculating manually. First off, I rounded off too quickly somewhere because I should have left all the digits, and that's why I will get 5445, and there's no answer there that looks like that. But the answer that is almost close by is that one, which I assume those who are calculating using the calculator, the financial calculator, you followed the steps. Your compounding periods were 2, your I and your payment is 1,500, and your interest is 8, and your N is 2. And if you have followed the steps, you've gotten the answer is 544. I'm looking on my calculator right now. It's 544, 4.8. Second function, let me start again. Second function 10. Second function, you say second function P and Y2, enter on and off your calculator, plus or minus 1,500. Then say that is your payment, PMT, and then you say 8 is I and Y, and 2 second function N again, and you say comp PV, and the answer I get is 554,84284, which if I round it to 2 decimal is just 84. And that's how you answer the present value of an annuity question. So those who don't have financial calculator, because you won't have time to go and buy a financial calculator right now, because it's a non-essential product. So I don't know, because the time you go write the exam, if you don't have a financial calculator, you might struggle to find the correct answer on your exam paper because of how you do the calculations manually. The quickest way to do financial calculations is to use your financial calculator. Unless if you know somebody who has it and does QMI, you can ask them, and if you stay in the same street with them, you can ask them to borrow you the time you go write your BNU or BNU exam. Very important to have a financial calculator. Okay, so and that concludes what we're supposed to do in the first half. Second half, we're going to look at how we calculate a future value of an annuity. Okay. By the end of 30 minutes, we should be able to know how to calculate the future value of an annuity. And the formula we use is S, which represents the future value, is equals to R, which is your payment, times the accumulation factor, which will be 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divided by I, which I is our interest. Remember, your interest you divide by the compounding period, and your N, which is your period, you multiply by the compounding period. You always need to remember that, because the formula doesn't tell you that. It's something that you always need to remember. Okay, let's look at an example. JP will need 20,000 to buy his brother's car in 2 years' time. So this car, not today, in 2 years' time, he will need 20,000. He wants to start saving part of his weekly salary into the account that returns 8.5 interest per year, compounded weekly. Calculate the minimum weekly payment that he needs to make into this investment account to have enough in 2 years' time. So what are we given? We are given the future value, because this is only in 2 years. This 20,000 is only due in 2 years, because in 2 years, that's when he wants to buy this car. So it's due at that. So this becomes our future value. And for how long? And they also give it here in the question. It's 2 years, which is 2 years, which is our N. And remember, I need to also write it as part of the manual calculation. So we will do the financial calculations shortly. Let me just, for now, concentrate on writing it as if we're doing the manual calculation. So this is our S, this is our N, and he wants to buy this part of his weekly salary because then it's compounded weekly. So our compounding periods here are 52, and our interest, which is our I, it's equals to 8%. Let's write it, comma, 8.5% divided by 100 will give us 0, this is 0.085. And remember, you will need to divide this by the compounding period, the same as with the period, and you will have to multiply by the compounding period, which is 2 years, and you will need to multiply by the compounding period, which are 52. We need to be calculating the minimum weekly payment, which means we need to be calculating our R. That's the question. Calculate the minimum weekly payment that he needs to make. Let's look at the formula. So our formula, we know that it's S is equals to R times 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divided by I. So it means we must make R the subject of the formula. So to do that, we can even start by substituting the values that we have. So if we substitute the values that we have, like I'm doing it badly by putting the I as a fraction, please make sure that you calculate your interest outside and then come and substitute only one value into the value of I. So my interest, I'm dividing it by the compounding period, and my N, I'm multiplying it with the compounding periods of 52 and subtract 1, and I do the same at the bottom for my I. And simplify things, then I get the answer for 0.8 divided by 80, 0.85 divided by 52, I get 0.00163 to the power of 2 times 52 is the same. It's 104 minus 1 divided by that, and I solve what is inside the bracket, and I get the answer of 113. So what is underneath the bracket? Everything in the bracket gives me 118.23469, and that is the answer that I get. Then I take that and divide by 20,000. I say 20,000 divided by everything that is underneath the bracket after I solved it, which is 20 divided by 113,23469, and the answer to that gives me 176.58. And that's how you do the manual calculations. To calculate the payment, minimum payment for the future value of an annuity. If I have to do the same steps on a calculator, second function CA, remember, it clears your calculator from any stored value that we have. For example, we did this exercise for the present value previously. So we still have the information stored on our calculator. To remove that, we need to press second function CA so that we clear our calculator from any stored values that is there. Then the second step is to put our compounding periods. Second function, I and Y for the PY, and we say our compounding periods were 52, and we press ENT, which is to show the compounding period. Then we press on and off our calculator. The next step is to capture what we are given. What else are we given? We know that we are given our future value, which is 20,000. We go the second, not second function, plus or minus 20,000. That's our future value, not future V. That should be future value, FV. So it's 20,000, which is our future value. Then we go and put in our interest. Our interest 8.5, and we just put it as it is, 8.5. That is our interest, and then we put our period or our term, which we know that it is 2 years. So it will be 2, second function n, and then you press n again. Remember this? You press n. That's the same as the n button. So it's n again, and that will store 104 on your calculator. You will see that. Now we're ready to compute our weekly payment, which is what we were supposed to do. And we press COMP, and you press the PMT button, and the answer you will get will be 176.58 if we round it to 2 decimals. 5 decimals, so I have 58121. So always remember money is in 2 decimals, unless otherwise they set to the nearest tens. And that's how you use your calculator to calculate future value questions of an annuity. As long as they mention things like payments, you always need to remember that the minute they mention a payment, it means they are talking about an annuity. And whatever we've covered today, we're still going to continue with it next week when we do amortization. So don't think that whatever we did today ends today. When we do annuities, we will cover the payments as well. And remember, in the exam, your annuity questions and the amortization questions, they come from the same, they are linked. So let's put it this way, they are linked. So you might say, question 21, they ask you about the payment. Question 22, they say amortize the payment. Question 23, they ask you what is the outstanding amount. Question 25, they might ask you something. So you might get 5 questions that are linked to payments and to the same method and same questions time and again. So whatever we've learned today, don't forget it, because you will still need to apply it next week when we do amortization. Okay, so that was the example. Now it's your time to do the exercise. Likewise, formulas are given in the exam, but the steps to use your calculators are not given in the exam. And since the formulas are given in the exam, I'm going to give you the formula as well. Sarah wants to save 100,000 for a deposit on a townhouse. She wants to deposit 500 per week into a savings account that offers 9% a year compounded weekly. How long will it take her to save enough deposit? So looking at the question, what are we given? We told she wants to save 100,000 for a deposit of the house. This 100,000, she's not saving it now. It's what she wants to get at the end of the term in order to use that to pay the deposit. So this is our future pay. Our deposit per week, this is the amount she is paying every week. So this makes it our payment, PMT. Okay, so now here I must also use both the S and the R so that everybody is on the same page. Into the savings account where it pays an interest, which is our I or our INY, and it's compounded weekly. So our compounding periods here there are 52, and they want to know for how long, and that is the question they're asking you to calculate. Now, the formula to use, and this is in years. So the formula to use, S is equals to R times 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I, which is the easiest formula. But remember, you are looking for n. You need to make n the subject of the formula. So you will have to make sure that n is the subject of the formula in this instance, and n is in the power. So remember, you need to use the log to bring n down to be the subject of the formula. You will have to use the rule or the logarithm law. And remember also, when you calculate it manually, your I, you will have to come and do your I outside and also do your O. So you can't do your N because the N you will have to solve for. But you also need to remember, the minute you divide your interest by the compounding period, the answer you will get will be compounded. So therefore, it means when you get to the answer, and this will apply, you will have to divide by the compounding periods to convert this to years. So that's what you will need to do. So when you get to the answer at the bottom, when you find n, you need to convert it by dividing with the compounding period to find the correct years. Similar with financial calculator, second function, CA, second function. You will need to also, those who are doing financial, using a financial calculator, you will need to know these steps by heart by the time you go right to them, because they are not given anywhere on the exam. Second function, EY, and you put your compounding periods, and you press E and T button, and you go on and off your calculator. And then you go plus or minus, and you put. Now, since you have your present value and your payment, only one of them needs to have a plus or minus in front. You can choose, it can be in front of the payment or it can be in front of the future value. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, as long as at least one of them has a plus or minus in front. So let's say our plus or minus is on our future value, which is 100,000. 100,000, and this is our FV, and then you press 500. Oh, sorry, I was not going to do answers. Wait, what? But anyway, what will be your PMT? And we are also given our interest, which is I and Y, and then you need to comp. You will need to comp N. And when you get to the comp N, you say divide by the compounding periods as well. So you also apply the same method as those who are doing manual calculation. When you have your answers, feel free to post them. As soon as I see multiple answers coming, then I will know that you guys have the answer and we can start giving feedback so that we can look at the next section, which are lots of exercises. I'm going to make assumptions that those who are giving me answers, they're using financial calculators. So we'll give those who are calculating manually to also try it and see if they get the answers. Okay, let's see. So if I assume those who are using manual for financial getting it right. So let's have those who are not using the financial calculator. So in the meantime, change the color to red. So you would have put here 52, those who are doing or who have financial calculators, and the 100,000 payment of 500, and the interest is 9. And when you comp, it should have given you 171.9, I think 90, and then you divide that by 52, and the answer you will get will be 3.3. Those who are calculating manually, we would have went out and we do our interest is 0.09 divided by 52, which then gives us 0.00173. If you calculated that, you will get 0.013. Since I'm going to run out of space, I am going to do a black screen so that then we have enough space to write the formula. Okay, so I need to change the pen to white so that I can write the formula. So we have S is equals to R into 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divided by I. And we know that our I, we've calculated it and we saw that it was 0.00. I'm writing on the outside of the presentation now. Let's go back. Our I is 0.00173. That's what we found. Then we can substitute all the values. We know what our present value was. Our future value was 100,000 equals our payment was 500 times 1 plus 0.00173, which is our I, to the power of N minus 1 divided by 0.00173, which is our I. Now, remember, to manipulate the equation, we need to make N the subject of the formula. So it means we need to leave everything with an N on one side. In this instance, we can leave it on the right. It's still fine because it's an equal sign. So we need to remove 500 and divide by 500 on both sides. So when we divide by 500 on both sides, we end up with 100,000 divided by 500 on this side equal. And we are left with what is on the other side, which is 1 plus 0. Can you please switch off?
He's working with Island. Sebastian was working with Island. It's a lie. Audrey, he was working with Duffer too. Sebastian was working with Duffer. Drew's the one that sent the assassin to the gymnasium. He would have let you die. Sebastian sent the
Liz, are you still there? Liz, are you still there?
Sorry, I am still here. It's just that when I muted someone, it took me off and I couldn't come back because I minimized my Teams. So please make sure that you always mute your microphones. Now I have to start again from R because of that. Because when I go back to a black screen, everything that I wrote disappears. Please make sure that you mute your microphones. S is equals to R. I'm not going to care about the color now. 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I. And I'm just going to continue and substitute because we already did that. So to substitute, we substituting 100,000 and 500 times 1 plus 0,00173 to the power n minus 1 divided by 0,00173. Bracket, we divide both sides by 500. So it's 100,000 divided by 500. We are left with 1 plus. And we can also solve what is inside the bracket there. When we solve what is inside the bracket, we'll have 1,00173 to the power n minus 1 divided by 0,00173. 100 divided by 100,000 divided by 500. 100,000 divided by 500 gives us 200. So we'll have 200. Multiply that with what is at the bottom here, which is 0,00173 equals, and we have 1,00173 to the power n minus 1. And when we multiply 200 multiply by 0.00173, we get 0, we get 0,0,33460, and I need to take this one to the other side, then it's plus 1 equals, and I'm left this side with 1,00173, and the answer this side becomes 1,3460. Sorry, this is to the power n. And if I apply the log to the answers, I'm going to do this in a shortcut because I'm running out of space as well there. I'm going to do this, will be 1,00173 to the power n. Now, if we apply the logarithm, the law of logarithm says if I have x to the power of n is the same as n log x, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to apply the log there on the final answer. So then it means on the left hand side, I will end up having the log of 1,3460 equals, and I must do the same this side, which will be n, the log. When I apply the same, because n is in the power, and it will be the log of 1,00173. I'm running out of space. This is 1,00173. Oh, get it? I'm running out of space on this number. Let's see if we can slot in, and the log of 1,00173. Okay, doesn't work. Let's go back here. Let's do it on this log of 1,346. I hope you are able to see this is equals to n, the log of 1,00173 And therefore it means the answer for this will be to divide the log of 1,3460 divide by the log, because we're going to divide by the log of 1,00173 on the other side, it's equals to n. Don't tell me I've run out of space as well here. Equals to n, and therefore the log, second function log, I look for the log, which is log, look for that function, open bracket 1,346, close bracket, divide by second function, the log, open bracket of 1,00173, close bracket equals, I get the answer for n is 171,904,115. And if I divide that by 52, divide that by 52, I will take that and divide by 50. Divide by 52, our n is equal to 3.3. And that's how you're going to do the calculations. When you are asked to calculate n and make n the subject of the formula, especially when you're working with annuities or any other calculations that you do manually, and something is in the power, you always need to remember that. So I'm going to go back to the presentation. You can come back to this recording and check it out again if you're still unsure about the steps at the later stage when the recordings are made live. Okay, and that's how you calculate and answer the question, because our answer was 3.3. So it means now the point still stays. Financial calculators are the easiest to use when you're answering questions like this, because with manual calculation, it becomes very complex. Please don't ask me to go back to that question, because when I go outside of the black screen, it disappears. Yes?
No, Lizzie. Just a question quickly. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we get a similar question, but then the compounding period is like once a year. Do we then still divide the time by 1 year, or do we divide it by 12? I just want some clarity on that.
Okay, if it's annually, you can still divide by annually, which is 1, which you just wasted your time. But if it's monthly, yes, you need to divide by 12. So you divide by the compounding periods. So depending on what your compounding periods are, if it's years, for example, you will need to look carefully at your answers. If your answers are in months and your compounding periods was monthly, then the answer you get is the answer you get. If the answer is in years, but the compounding periods was monthly, you will need to divide by the compounding periods. So if the answers are in quarters and your compounding period was quarters, then you do nothing. So it means if they want the compounded numbers, the number of years. But if the number says years, then you need to divide by the compounding period. That's the basic thing. But if it says annually, it's 1, so you can divide, you can still divide by 1, which will still remain as that number anyway. And you have lots of exercises. You have this exercise. I'm just going to run through. Oh, actually, I don't even have to run through them, because I've posted the slides for today under the files session. You can go through that and download it. It's with today's date, the 7th of May. You can download those slides and work through this exercise. There are a couple of them. So this exercise, exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, and exercise 4. So when you go through the exercises and on the video, you can pause them. You can pause the video and do the exercise and move to the next one. It makes it easier that way. And actually, that concludes what I was supposed to share with you today. I just want to do this to say you have calculated your annuity, your basic annuity for the future value, and also for the present value of an annuity in this session. Then I need to also give you an exercise because we still have 15 more minutes to do. And that is your exercise. How much to the nearest rent can Lerato borrow from a bank if she can repay the loan by means of quarterly payments of 2,000, starting at the end of the first quarter? The interest is 18% per annum, compounded quarterly, and the duration of the loan is 10 years. Assume that the interest rate will stay fixed for the duration of the loan. How much in the nearest to the nearest rent can Lerato borrow from the bank? What is that? Are you going to calculate future value of an annuity or present value of an annuity? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. Then you also need to identify what you are given and write the formula and also highlight the things that you are given. So those who are doing manually, remember interest, you divide by the compounding periods, your period, you multiply by the compounding periods. And that is your exercise. We might not be able to recap, but we might give you the answer at the end. So those who are using financial calculator, as soon as you get your answer, you can post it so that everybody can see what the answer is. And if you need any help, we can discuss it on WhatsApp when you show me your workings, and then I will give you feedback on whether you're doing the right steps or not. But for now, in this next 15 minutes, this is your exercise. I see the answers are coming through option 4 and option 1. How much can Lerato borrow from the bank? Is this your present value? Because when you get it now, and you need to repay it, which will be your future. So if you are getting it now, does it make it a present value? And if you are paying it at the end, it makes it a future value. Therefore, it makes, in this statement, when Lerato is borrowing from the bank, is this a present value or a future value? And Kosinati and Sagita says it is present value. And yes, because that's how much she can borrow. It means when the bank gives to her, that will be your present value. Therefore, if that is the present value, those who are calculating manually, you should be using S, not S, but P. Your formula should be P is equals to R times 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power N. And those who are calculating using a financial calculator, you should be saying second function, CA, second function, E-Y, and you put in your compounding periods and you press ENT and you go on and off your calculator. You do plus or minus. And you do the present value and you do your I and Y. And you do the value of your period, second function N, and again, and COMP. PV. And with that, that concludes today's session, which makes option number 4 the correct number 1. And then option number 4 will be your correct answer that you will get when you use the present value. So, Zachary, you used future value. which means you got this one, which is incorrect. The correct answer is option number 1. So those who are calculating manually, you will need to check if you're getting the right answer, which is 36,803 rand to the nearest rand. And with that, that concludes today's session. I will see you next week, Thursday, when we have our final tutorial session, when we do amortization. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. So far, you know how to calculate the annuities for the present value and annuities for the future value. And remember, if the question states payment, it means it's annuity. If there is nothing mentioned about payments or weekly payments, monthly payments, quarterly payments, frequent payments, all those, if they don't mention that, you must know that you need to use the compounding periods to calculate your compounded values. And that concludes today's question. And remember also, wait, before you go, remember, if you borrow money, that's your present value. If you repay the money at the end, that's your, that is your future value. If you're saving money and you want to receive it at the end, that's your future value. And if you put a lump sum of money now, that's a present value. So you will need to read the questions carefully in order for you to know whether are you given the present value or are you given the future value. Sometimes the question might not be as straightforward as that. They might ask you to also take the deposit into account. Therefore, it means from the amount that you have, you need to subtract the deposit before you can use the money as your present value or your future value. You must take that into consideration. The minute they say, if he gets 20,000 deposit or if he puts a down payment of 20,000, therefore it means he's putting a deposit, you need to take it out. You cannot be compounding everything because you need to take away the money that he paid initially and only work with the money that needs to be compounded. And that concludes our annuity questions and session. If you have any question, you can post it on the WhatsApp group. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the evening. See you on Thursday.
Lizzie, before you go, ma'am, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Where do you perhaps know when are we getting our feedbacks on our assignments?
Okay, that I don't know.
Okay, and then the second question now related to this annuity. Sometimes there is a scenario where they say somebody's saving money for a couple of years, and then they say within 3 years, if you were saving it for 5 years, within 3 years, he decided to take some 1,000 rand, and then you have to calculate how much is left now and how much is it going to make to. I mean, the examples you are giving us are straightforward compared to the real questions that we are getting there. I don't know whether it's me or not. Okay. Because sometimes I get.
Wait, are you also doing QMI?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, so all those questions you are asking, they are related to the QMI. That's why I'm asking you if you are doing QMI. Tomorrow we're doing QMI. You need to join that session.
Okay, all right.
Are you on the QMI WhatsApp group as well?
Nope, I'm not, but I will get into it.
Yes. So tomorrow we're doing QMI.
Can I say something?
Wait, I need to also clarify something. All the exercises that I have given you today, I have extracted them, and all the exercises that we did today, one comes from your study guide, and all of the exercises we did and also the exams we did, they all come from your past exam paper. Nothing from the other modules exam paper, but all comes from your BNU exam paper. And you won't have a question that asks you if you pay back now, how much is left. That is QMI, you do time value of your money, and that's how you're going to be able to calculate those.
All right then.
Yes. So the other question, someone wanted to ask a question.
No, I just wanted to say actually the question that is asking if there is one question like that on the BNU, I think it was on the assignment, not only on the QMI.
On the assignment.
Yes, there was a question
Yeah.
like that, the one that he asked.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
a question like that on a PNU.
Okay, you will need to send me that question, and then I will clarify that question for you on the group as well. Or you can post it here, then I can also answer that question on Teams, and everybody can have access to that. So even those who don't have the WhatsApp group. But usually when they ask you if you put the money now and then after 3 years, or you take the money for 5 years, but you settle it within 2 years, that is time value of your money. You're moving money backwards and forward. And in your module, you're not covering that part unless they were asking something else, whether you took the money in 5 years, you paid, and then you also pay the balance after some couple of years or something like that. Then you'll have to do 2 calculations and add them together or subtract one from the other. But I need to check that question in order for me to give you a valid answer. But in terms of moving money backwards and forward, that is kept is done in QMI. Any other question? If there are no other questions, then enjoy your evening.